as a whole, when you have those highs, what do you see?
Yeah, we had a little bit of high, a little bit of low. I think we finished a little weaker, in my opinion, than we might have wanted to. We were really looking forward to Wofford and defending there, and I think that was probably our weakest performance. Kind of had a 3-12 sandwich, if you will, there. So I think overall we're just really anxious to get back out there and get back to the momentum that we started with. Like you said, at Penn State, to have that 290 as well after the win at Golf Week. Started a lot stronger than we finished, so we're excited to get the spring rolling for sure.
Something that's great about you guys is, you hold yourself to a very high standard, you have very high expectations, because this is a great season, it's a great fall stretch. How does that set you up to really attack the spring?
I think that's one of the things about that Golf Week. I think even myself included, I think we were a little too satisfied with that start, and that's the thing with golf, is you can never be too satisfied because anything can happen. You can have a bad shot at any time. It can turn into a bad round, bad tournament, whatever it is. So that's on me. I think I even was a little too satisfied with that Golf Week because that was a big win. But like you said, we're 299 average right now, so if we can maintain that or even bring it down a couple strokes, you're definitely looking at the best, score-wise, the best season in program history. So we're just really excited for where we're at, and with the high expectations, just ready to achieve even more in the spring.
Let's talk about some players in particular. Let's start with your two seniors, right? It's a good place to start.
Oh.
And how great have they been? You got Samantha Vaudry and Tani, who have just been great. And you look at where they are in the record books, they are 1 and 2. I mean, they are at the top of the list all time. Just to throw out a couple statistics here, Vaudry, first in birdies, 245, first in scoring average of 75.91. Right behind her is Tani with 76.46. So that's a lot of scoring there. How great have they been to coach just 4 years?
I can't say enough about those two. Obviously, the spotlight is a little bit on Samantha this season and following up going into a title defense at the Big South Championship. But like you said, you look in the record books, and it started day one on campus. Those two were just the foundation for 4 solid years of contributions, and I think they're also 1-2 in finish percentage, so they have just been completely consistent the whole way and contributed from the get-go, and we still rely very heavily on their maturity and certainly their scores. So I can't talk about too much or I'll just freaking cry up here, but we are losing a lot in those two, so we're excited to have put an exclamation point on their careers this spring.
And to talk a little bit more about her, she's looking to play at the next level, and she's going to go to Q school.
Samantha is, yep.
Yeah, Samantha is. So talk a little bit more about that and explain what that is so people understand. That's the next step you have to take if you're going to play at the next level. That's what Samantha's looking to do.
Sure. So golfers are essentially all free agents. When they come out of college, they can choose to, all it takes to go professional is to declare yourself a professional. So she is going to participate in the LPGA Q school, which is basically a 3-stage grind. It'll start in late August. She'll head out to California, and then from there it does depend on your performance and where you finish on the leaderboard, but it could end up at stage 3 in the Q Series, which is just down the road at Pinehurst. So certainly excited to support her in any way we can going forward, and excited to see some Panther pride out there, hopefully on the LPGA Tour.
That'd be outstanding.
That'd be awesome.
Let's talk about Sarah Kahn as well, and as a sophomore, the impact she's had already.
Yeah, I mean, right there up with Sam and Tani. Just a huge contributor for us, especially in the categories of rounds under par. When it really comes down to it, it really matters. That's what we're trying to do day in and day out is to get as many individual rounds under par as possible that will hopefully contribute to more and more team rounds under par. And I think she's at 7 already this season, beaten only by Samantha with 8 already this season. So through 15 rounds, those are 2 that we're looking forward to anchoring us through the spring season.
And as we just talked about your seniors, I know you're also really excited to talk about, I think you're allowed to talk about who you're bringing in. You're excited about a lot of the newcomers that are yet to step foot on campus officially. They come for their meets, their visits and everything, but you're excited to have them as members of the team.
Yeah, very excited. We can talk about them. They signed this November, so we've got 3 coming in, which is for golf. That's kind of a big class.
Yeah.
Obviously, you only travel 5 at any one time, so to have 3 newcomers, we're really excited for that fresh blood and to see how they perform. But just outstanding junior careers so far coming in, and You've got Danielle and Vinny, who are both top 10 players in the state of Virginia. So shout out to them, but also Ivana with some, she's ranked on the Wagger and coming in with some national team experience on Scotland's team. So just very excited for the impact that they're going to have next year, and can't wait for them to integrate into the culture.
Let's talk about what's going on in the spring here when you get to the end of the tournament, or when you get to the end of the season and get to the tournament. It's going to be match play, which is a switch for you guys. How exciting is that for you as a coach?
As a coach, I'm very excited for match play. The men tested it out last year, and we're rolling it out this spring, but I was always a better match play player in my career, so excited to hopefully impart some of that wisdom on the girls.
Were you calling for it when they asked?
I was, yeah. I think it was pretty unanimous that we were interested in it. But yeah, it's definitely a totally different animal to overcome, and just a totally different game when you get to it. Obviously, the first step is making it to match play. We've got 3 rounds of stroke play still to make it into that top 4, and then from there it's really anybody's game. So yeah, on paper, I think match play even gives us a better chance to finally catch Campbell.
And some things we were talking about yesterday, you and I, were what obstacles and what maybe exciting things come up when you're a coach and you go, you know what, now I have to choose matchups. What does match play mean from a coaching perspective? Yeah,
from a coaching perspective, it just means we get to use our skills and use our brains a little bit more live and in it. Obviously, in the regular season, most of the coaching happens in practice, happens on that one-on-one individual basis, day in and day out. When it comes to competitions in the regular season, you're jumping around from player to player, trying to sort of put out the fires as they happen. But match play, and like you said, being able to do the matchups and have that live action experience of pairing players against based on strategy and how they match up against our competition is really exciting. Obviously, haven't done it yet, but we're trying to get closer and closer to a setup that looks like the national championship, and I think we've accomplished that.
Well, Coach, you've been outstanding. I have one last question for you, and of course, if anybody has a question, feel free to raise your hand, and we'll have you holler it up here and let you ask Coach Bennett a question if you have one, and then throughout the afternoon. But what is one thing? I know there's 1,000 things, but what is one thing you're stressing to your players here in the last couple of weeks before we really get into the spring season? What's one thing you want them to do in order to see them holding the trophy up in April, May?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about with the golf week, just not being satisfied with where we're at. It's very exciting to look at the record book. It's exciting to see this year's team putting entries in there consistently, and the 299, hey, we're this many strokes ahead of the best ever, but just kind of wiping all of that clean, and it is a little bit easier with the poor performance at Wofford to get excited for a fresh start. We're not so much proven that we are who we were at the end. We're trying to get back to something, so sort of that never satisfied mindset, I think.
And then you had to kind of sit on that for the, during the off season to get ready for the spring. What kind of what fires you up about that? You were just dying to get back out there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I always just want to end a season on an extreme. You either want to end it with a really good performance or a really bad one. I think a neutral performance is the worst way to end a season, because you don't have that fire under you. So I don't think there's much that I need to tell them to get ready for heading down to Tampa in the middle of February.
So as we look forward to the spring season, is there anything else you want to share with us before we say goodbye? You've been outstanding.
Just excited for the season. We're going to be hanging out in the Carolinas for 5 of our 6 events. So we'll be in both South and North Carolina for the majority of our schedule. So I know we don't play close to home, but if you have ties in any of the areas that we're playing, we'd love to see you out there.
And it's Wilmington, Asheville, and Morganton, and then 2 trips in South Carolina as well.
You got it. Yeah,
so,
back to Key Island.
Island.
Lots of good places to visit.
And then the home of the Big South, 96 South Carolina.
Yeah, the thriving metropolis of 96 South Carolina.
Well, if you want to come see Coach Bennett and your women's golf team, that's where they'll be. She was here today, and she was outstanding. So a round of applause for Coach
Thank you.
Bennett.
Thank you very
much so much.
Appreciate it.
So how about that? Great job by Coach Bennett, and we're going to keep it rolling here with the golfs. Coach Brady Gregor, head coach of the men's golf team, is here. You're just sending vibrations through. It's it's an exciting moment.
Yeah, get the room going a bit.
Yeah. Is your mic on? Yeah, you're on.
I'm on.
You're
Live.
So, Coach Gregor, let's start with something important here. Golf is about preparation, right? It's always important to prepare. And you and I have been preparing for this for a long time because we'll come here once or twice a month and we'll just share a plate of nachos, you and I, and sit in that booth and basically do the coach's show. So now we actually have an audience, so
Yeah, we call that in golf a practice round, and if you have looked at my first year's coaches shows to now, you can tell we've definitely done some damage on those nachos.
Yeah, you're an old pro at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll start backwards and move forward. So let's start with the fall that your team had. What jumped out to you in the fall?
First and foremost, just the amount of talent that we have. The natural talent and the guys just getting better every year. So that was kind of the first thing that stood out, just how much talent we have. And then it was just a matter of putting it all together, which I think we'll see a lot more consistency in that this spring.
So as we talked about with Coach Bennett, the women are moving to match play in the tournament. The men did that last year, and then to prepare for that again, you played some match play down at Wofford, and you guys were able to take home first place. How important of a win was that for you guys, especially moving on to knowing you'll have to face it in the spring?
Yeah, well, I think that's a huge confidence boost for the guys. So far in my time here at High Point, we've actually been undefeated in matches. So the guys are confident in that format. We have 3 really strong players, and you only have to pick up 3 points to actually advance in match play. So that is a great format. That's why it was a driving force for us to vote that in last year. And so the guys are pumped to get to have that in conference, and they know if we make the top 4, which we're very well expected to do, that we have a really chance to win it all.
And if you've seen it once, if you've seen yourself do it, that makes it easier, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about some of your players individually. Let's start with a guy who High Point golf fans have been talking about for a while, Brady and his progression.
Yeah, the Dukes, senior year, so he'll be one of the ones that we're definitely sad to see go. But he actually just was named again for his second year to the national team in Canada. So you have to be in the top 4 amateurs in Canada to be on that team, and he did it for 2 years in a row. So that's something that helps him stay at the level of play that he's at, and so we're very excited for him for that.
And tell us a little bit about a guy who was a newcomer last year, here again, Mr. Einstein. Let's know about him.
Yeah, Branden Einstein had a great semester last year, really a great freshman year, and kind of came and it's kind of cool just looking at records. I mean, McDougal has came in and pretty much set the standard for this era of golf, and Branden has come in and he knows exactly where all those stand, and so it's good to have him here chasing those records, and it's really helped him elevate his play.
Let's talk about what happened in the quote-unquote off-season, because you guys, golf doesn't really get time off, and while there wasn't High Point events going on, you had guys active over the break in different tournaments. Thank you.
Boom.
Tell me a little bit about that. Who was playing?
Yeah, so there are several tournaments over the break. They're amateur events, and the guys have the opportunity to play in those as individuals. The 2 events that we had the most turnout of our guys playing at were both held in Pinehurst. The CCNC Amateur, which is the Country Club of North Carolina, that took place earlier in December, and then the Young Amateur took place right after the New Year's. So it was really good for us to be represented in there. Alec Weary played really well with the top 20 finish. Shot under par the final round, and Branden Einstein actually finished 10th in the CCNC Amateur, and then he took home second place in the Young Am. So continuing those winning ways over the break.
And now you wanted to maybe not give out an award, but maybe we'll call it an award. You wanted to give out an award to one of your guys. You said he was the Bonnie Tyler turnaround player of the season so
Turn
far.
around.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know where I'm going. Who would that person be?
I would say it's got to be sophomore Adam Hooker. He had about a 75.5 scoring average, and this fall, as a freshman, he did. And this fall, he came in, he played in every tournament for us, and he has just a little bit over a 73 scoring average. So that's a great improvement for him. Shows a lot about his work ethic, and so he's from a small town called Lebanon, Virginia. So there's not a lot but golf to do there. So yeah, so we're excited that he's done that. And once we have about 4 guys that are all 7'4" or better, we'll be able to really compete nationally.
And Coach, now fire us up for the spring. What can we look forward to from you and your guys? Where are you going, and what are you hoping to do?
Yeah, we're really excited for the spring. Basically, build off that match play win. In consistency. Consistency is key for us. All fall, we had 1 or 2 guys competing to win the tournaments as an individual, or either when our front end didn't play well, our back end played really well. So it's kind of just getting them all meshed together and bringing that little bit more consistency. And I think you'll see kind of what we did in the last event, which is Turtle Point. I mean, we played 3 rounds of golf paired with Auburn and Augusta State. So those are 2 of the top programs in the country. And so the guys build off that confidence, and I think you'll see a lot more of that in the spring.
And before we let you go, I know you wanted to put on your game show hat. You want to run a little contest here, correct? Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah. So I learned on early in my coaching career, the only way that I get invited back to these things if I come bearing gifts for the people that are here. So we've got logo golf balls here. We've got 4 sleeves. So we'll come up with 4 questions that can actually pertain to golf or any sport really. And we will see if we can get some winners to win these things. The only thing we do ask is, since they are logoed, our teams are usually the ones playing these, so if you do hit them in the woods, go out there and try to find them. We don't need people thinking that our teams are hitting those balls in the woods or anything. So,
Do you want to get us started here with the question? We'll see if you mean this is a pretty luxurious prize, so if you know, raise your hand and then we'll get you to give an answer.
yeah, so Boom, if you want to just help me kind of identify first hands up. We'll start off, since me and Coach Bennett have both been here 4 years, between both our teams, how many total Big South individual champions do we have?
Usually you start with like a low question,
we're
an easy. You're jumping right in.
2.
That's right.
Mr. Bill's got that correct.
All right, we'll bring them to you. You can come get them. We'll pass them down to you. But that's one off the table right there.
Yeah.
And that was going to be my question, so I need you to ask another one.
Oh, I stole your question. I know we talked a lot about format, and with the ladies as well in the Big South going to format, into match play. Currently, what is our format for stroke play tournaments during the regular season, or how many holes is it? Does anyone know?
So we're looking for a number here.
A number, or, I mean, if no one knows the number, we can go with rounds, number of holes, rounds played. We can have guesses. We'll take guesses. No.
Is he close? He's at 36.
We're going back to Mr. Bills. 54 is correct.
He's going to be
Hey.
just throwing golf balls out the window,
Hey.
driving home, handing these out.
Local Willow Creek member, so we'll keep supplying those balls there.
Can I ask a non-golf?
Yes,
type
give
of
us a non-golf question.
Okay. So who can tell me the name of the soccer player that we just had drafted in the MLS? Keegan Myers, correct. Earl,
Yes.
nice job. Good stuff.
All right, well, now that Coach Bennett just put a bite in her mouth, we're going to ask her to give the 4th and final question.
You have one locked and loaded? No?
She's still
Kim
chewing.
Grissett, you have one? Kim, do you have one? Yeah. No, okay.
All right.
This is a big one.
Wow.
This is a
I
hard
don't
one.
think anyone's going to get that correct.
Oh, that's a good question.
What? Oh, that's too easy. How about a baseball question?
Okay.
Who is our home opener? Actually, I need to make sure I know this first. I think
Joe,
our
you know,
home
right?
opener against this spring for men's baseball. Well, I guess there's men's baseball, but
In the back.
I think that's correct, right? Yes, Lafayette.
All right. So, Brady Gregor, full-time head men's golf coach, part-time game show host, tremendous guest. Thank you so much. Good luck this spring. Hand these out when you go to the back. That's gonna be tough to beat right there. That was pretty outstanding. Thanks to both golf coaches for being here and being such great guests. And now we're gonna keep moving and bring up head women's basketball coach Chelsea Banbury is here with us. Yes, thank you. Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Glad you're back. Good to see you again. And let's jump right into it. You've been into conference play, and what have been some of the big takeaways right now as your team sits at 3-3 here, 3 wins, 3 losses?
I mean, I'm actually happy with our progress so far. I think we've made a lot of strides, especially after Christmas. I mean, it's tough dropping your first 2. It's hard having to learn lessons from losses, but I think we did take the Campbell loss to heart and took some steps forward. So I like where we're headed. We're heading in the right direction.
And then how exciting is it as a coach when you play against Campbell, play against Winthrop, and drop those 2 contests, and then you turn around and have a big win against Upstate where you score a lot of points, and then the game against Radford where you also, the offense was moving and grooving.
Yeah, I mean, we love playing at home, obviously, right? But it's always nice when shots start to fall, but it's also, like I said, it's a lot of times you end up learning lessons from losses, and you don't always want it to be that way as a coach, but that is kind of what it took. And we've started, we actually started the year with a new thing in our locker room, is that we believe in us now, and we believe in what we do. And I think they've kind of taken that to heart. It's more of, we brought up the fact that if you believe in something, you don't do it part of the time. And I think a lot of problems that we were having is we would execute a game plan for part of the game, not the entire game. And so that's what's been neat to see the progress in, is that they're starting to buy into it for 40 minutes and execute on the offensive end and the defensive end. And I mean, as a coach, that's what you love to see. Like when you can tell a kid to do something, we just want them to be successful. And then when they see that they are successful and they have so much fun doing it, I mean, it kind of makes it all worth it.
And, we've definitely seen that, but we don't want to bury the lead here. We want to talk about something very important, and that's Cameron Brown, who scored her 1,000th point as a High Point Panther. A little round of applause. Tremendous achievement. And, she was also named Big South Player of the Week this week, as she should be, of course, when you score 1,000 points in your career. And I know I ask you almost every time about her, but with this kind of milestone, if there is a way to put it into words, how important has she been to this program?
I mean, I haven't been here for the majority of her points, but the ones that I have been here for, I'm very grateful for. She is what makes our team tick a little bit. She's our leader. She leads by example. She leads through her voice. And she's just someone that is going to show up. And so she's been huge to what we've done, especially the last few games. And she's kind of putting the team on her back, and hey, it's not getting done a certain way, I'm going to make sure it is. Like in our last game, in the second half, I started to get frustrated, We weren't guarding things correctly, and I started yelling purple, and she's at the sub table, and she looks at me, she's like, Coach, I got it. All right, I'll handle your business. So I didn't even have to say anything. She's like, Coach, I got it. I'll take care of it.
And then she took care of it.
Yeah, she went in and had her talk with him, and so that's huge. That's nice to have.
I was going to say, as a new coach, when you come in and you realize in the first couple of days, first couple of weeks that you have a player like that, how helpful is that to you? You're like, okay, I think I'm going to be able to do what I need to do because I have a player like that.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to teach something that's completely new to a whole team. of players, she caught on really fast. So it's nice to have a player like that because it's almost like having a vet in your system or a returner in your system. So the fact that she was able to catch on so quickly, she's a high IQ basketball player. She just loves the game and loves learning about the game. So having somebody like that helped progress things a lot quicker than maybe it would have.
And we're definitely going to ask you about some individual players other than her. We'll dive deeper into the roster. But before we do that, let's talk about your last game. It was a win. So let's talk about what went right against Ruston Southern.
Cameron Brown? No, I'm kidding. No, she had a phenomenal first half. I think she had 21 points in the first half. But just, again, our team shot the ball well. We got out in transition, scored some easy points. We've been rebounding the ball much better lately. So we had a huge first half, and that we got ourselves a lead that was pretty hard for them to come back from. They made a run at the end, but we made enough plays to keep it separated.
Now let's talk about let me ask about some of those individual players. Let's start with somebody who, off the bench, especially in those home games, provided a ton of energy, and I thought it was just a great boost off the bench. That was Callie Shire. How important has she been to you guys this year?
I said it in one of our post-game things, but Callie's been huge for us just from an energy standpoint. She's a worker. She loves the game. You can tell she loves the game. She's somebody that's going to show up at practice, and she is going to go as hard as she can every single day. Even if she's tired, even if we've gone a week straight or whatever it is, she is going to go hard every single day. So just having somebody, especially that young, to have somebody that consistent is huge for a program. And then just knowing that when you go to your bench, you're going to have somebody play with a ton of energy. It's nice being able to go to your bench and not lose a step in energy or lose anything when you go there. And I think it almost picks up when she gets in the game because she gets after it. She'll get her hands on some balls. She'll knock down shots. She gets excited. So she's been huge in our success. I do think we missed her on Saturday too. I think she could have helped us.
And let's talk about another shining star. The play of China McMitchell has been very noteworthy. What she's been able to do for you guys in various ways, not just scoring, but helping out in various ways. What do you see when you think about her game?
Well, first of all, I see like the first 4 minutes of Bradford. She was huge for us. She came out. She got easy points. She got to the basket. She knocked down a three. She was why we had such a good start in the Radford game. So she was huge there. And then just in every game we've had, she scores easy points. And there's always the phrase that goes, "Good players get easy baskets." She gets easy baskets. She's going to beat people down the floor and get a wide open layup. She's going to be in there getting an offensive rebound, getting a putback. And she's actually probably our most efficient player right now because every game you look at the stat sheet and she's like 4 of 6 from the field, and it's because she is getting easy shots. So she's been huge. Being able to count on 10 to 12 points from layups, that'd be nice as a player, I would think.
That's right. That makes going to the opposite a little bit easier, right? You got that coming up.
Yeah.
Who's somebody that we haven't mentioned that you go, you know what, I want to make sure they get their credit?
Someone that we haven't mentioned.
Anybody in practice this week maybe who's really caught your eye that we haven't talked about?
Well, I gave them 2 days off, so today was our first day back. So
okay.
It's been a short week. Somebody I don't think we talk about her a ton, but she's just been consistent for us this year is Skylar Curran. She's our leading scorer. She scores in a variety of ways. We talk about Cameron Brown a lot, but Sky plays a lot of minutes. She guards a lot of different positions. She can score at the basket. She can score behind the three-point line, and she can also drive. So having her offensively and defensively being versatile, she's an unsung hero, I'd say.
And you just talked about how you gave the team a couple of days off because we are in that crazy conference stretch where it feels like you're almost playing every other couple of days. How tough is this stretch to kind of manage? Obviously, you've been coaching for a long time. You know the challenges of being in conference play when it's so frequent. But, what does that kind of feel like as a coach when you look at, okay, we're playing a lot now?
Yeah, so right after Christmas, we've had 6 games since Christmas, so it was pretty much back to back to back. And with practices and stuff, it is hard on their bodies. So the fact that we can give them 2 days off in a row so they could rest and try to recover, get into the training room to do whatever they wanted to do. And then also, since yesterday was the first day of classes, we thought it'd be nice to let them sleep in a little bit, not get up at 5, adjust.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. No one likes waking up early. Not that early, at least.
Yeah, I mean, we practice at 6, so
And they're locked in.
Oh yeah, we had a great practice this morning actually. They did well, they played hard, which isn't always the case after 2 days off, so it was nice to see that they came in ready to make some adjustments and changes and get better. They're going hard, so.
And I was looking at the schedule. I think it's like you have Longwood, you come back for a game at home against Presbyterian, and you're on the road 2 more times. So basically, 5 out of the last 6 have been road games. What obstacles has that brought up? What challenges is that going to bring up with this road stretch here?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like games are games, whether you
Yeah.
play them on the road or you play them at home, and you're going to have the same amount of prep time, whether they're at home or on the road. I think the biggest challenge now is that they are missing school, and it adds another stress to the girls, because they are student athletes and they do care about their school, and sometimes they stress out about missing class or whatever it is. But the nice thing about it is then at the end of the year, we finish at home a lot. So,
Right.
When it comes crunch time, we'll be at home. So,
That makes
and
it
we
easy.
play better.
Yeah. And we've had some nice crowds in the Miller Center,
Yeah.
giving you guys some extra support. So that's always good to be able to come back and have that happen.
Yeah.
So we got Longwood on Saturday.
Yes.
Give us one or two of your keys to the game. What does the Panthers need to do to go to Longwood and get a win?
I mean, I think the keys to most games are pretty much the same. It's win possessions and get stops and score. I mean, as silly as that seems, like our ball screen defense has to get better, and that's what we've been working on. And then also we got to be able to convert at the other end. We got to be able to put the ball in the basket. And then part of winning possessions is valuing the ball. In the last game, we took so many chances with the ball that we didn't need to. And you can't win without the basketball. So we have to value that and limit our turnovers and then win rebounds, and I think we'll be in a good spot at the end of the game.
And I know we want to talk about one game at a time. We don't want to look at the big picture all the time. But if you look at the standings, it's very crowded right there. You go to 3-3, there's like 8 teams all up in that area that have 5, 4, 3 wins. So it is wide open. How important is the next couple of trips going to be when you know it can really be anybody's conference?
Yeah, it definitely can, and I'm still a firm believer of playing well when you need to down the stretch. So if we continue to get better and we're playing our best basketball at the end of the year, I think we're going to be happy. And then we talk about taking care of our business at home. Like, yeah, we want to get some of the road wins, but it is tough to get wins on the road. Like, we play harder at home, other teams play harder at home. So we got one last weekend. That's a good one to get a win on the road, and then this weekend go take care of our business, and then when we come home, like we have to protect our house.
So of course, if anybody has a question for Coach, we can raise your hand and we'll get to you. If not, just anything else you want to say before we got a question. All right, what's your question?
Stop trying to do things you can't do, you said? Is that what you said?
What's the question?
Well,
So,
That's good, great coaching.
no, I mean, you got to play to your strengths. Everybody needs to play to their strengths, and we emphasize that, and that goes into valuing possessions. We try to emphasize to them that you're not going to win the game by yourself. You have teammates out there for a reason. So we don't need you taking a contested shot like somebody else is open. So we talk about shot selection and everything like that, and playing within yourself. Just play to your strengths, and then also as coaches, we want to put our girls in situations that they can play to their strengths, where they don't feel like they have to do too much. So that's about.
all of it coming together and putting it together, and it's a learning process. We have a lot of young players playing right now, a lot of young players playing, so it's a learning curve.
And they're on a hot streak right now. 3 of the last 4 games have been wins, so we're hoping to keep that going.
That's right.
Anybody else got anything for us? Or Coach, do you have anything else you want to say before we let you go here? Thank you so much for coming up again.
I don't have anything to give away either.
Okay, well, the knowledge is enough. The knowledge and the entertainment is enough.
Thank you.
So, Coach, thank you so much, and
Thank
good luck
you
this
very
weekend.
much. Thanks.
Coach Chelsea Banbury, everybody. All right, now we will move along here to our final guest, the men's basketball coach, Tubby Smith, here with us.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I could use some golf balls. I tell you what, I might be planning a golf outing sooner than I would like, the way we've been playing lately. So, but no, the goals are. Our goals were to go undefeated, but obviously you don't change your goals, and to win the Big South and to play for the championship, you don't change your goals. You just adjust your actions. So we've probably ramped up some things that we're doing. So, but heck, what's up, everybody? Okay, how about the food here? Is always great. I'm really. Where was I? I was just at the radio, the TV station, Fox this morning, and did a little piece there on, February is Black History Month, so we were there doing an interview about that just recently, and we've got practice starting at 1 o'clock today, and Lord knows, I don't know if I want to go or not, but I'm going to show up. As I said before, you don't change the goals, you just change the actions and the things we have to do, so we've got to figure out what we're doing, what we need to adjust.
And how was the time at Fox today? What did you guys talk about? How was that?
It was good. We talked about a little bit about High Point, having come here in '69, and just why is Black History Month important and what it's meant to me and people of color, African Americans. So it was good to share that. I shared with them about in 1965, 66, when schools were integrated and consolidated in Southern Maryland, and we went from the all-black school, George Washington Carver, to Great Mills High School. And that spring, which was a real watershed moment for me, it was like the first college game I ever watched on TV. I was 14, 15 years old, and the Texas Western, the University of Texas El Paso team was playing the University of Kentucky at Cole Fieldhouse in Maryland, which I live about an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half from College Park, Maryland. Always, we all wanted to go to our local school, but I didn't have that choice. But we watched that game, and here I am all these years later, coaching, first black coach at Kentucky, at Georgia, but at that time I saw 5 African-American players playing for Texas Western. And later on had a chance to be friends with Don Haskins, who was the head coach, met Adolph Rupp, who was coaching on the other bench for Kentucky. So it's been I've really been blessed. So those are the kind of things we talked about this morning. Why history is important, and the things that have transpired over the last 50 years, 100 years here in this country, 200 years. So it's been wonderful. And we're blessed to be in this country, and that's the things I talk about. I'm happy and we're blessed to be an American, and so that's kind of what we talk about.
That's great. I want to ask a question about, you guys were at Preston.
No basketball questions.
No basketball. We can talk about other stuff. We can change it up.
No basketball. No, go ahead. I got to laugh so I don't have to cry.
Yeah, we don't want to cry. We'll laugh together. But I want to ask about an individual, okay? So we won't talk about the game yet here. I want to ask about a guy who's really coming on strong, especially, Panther fans have seen this guy on the team for a long time, and now to see the way he's playing as a fan has been really fun. Let's talk about Cliff Thomas. How great has he been?
Well, Cliff, I'm one of the young men I'm proud of, because Cliff, you know, we tried to bring him back last year. When I first got here, he broke his foot, had a pin in his foot, still does. And he, you know, his toughest challenge has been his, you know, he has one leg shorter than the other. And I've had that experience with other players. And right away, I knew that was a problem for his tendonitis in his knee. So, you know, we've got, and Josh, our trainer, does a great job. He does as far as identifying things. But in this business, and that's why the physical education and the biology degree that I got from here was so important. And I can recognize I've had that happen with about 3 or 4 players, and it just throws your back off and everything else. So he had some lifters, orthotics put in his shoe, and he's been healthier, and that's been the key. He has to continue to do his treatment because yesterday he was pretty sore. I said, did you do your treatment on Sunday? Well, that's why you're not. So those are things that he's still learning. But he has played outstanding. We're running plays to get him the ball because he's shooting over 60%. Our best 2 field goal shooters are Caden Sanchez and Cliff Thomas. So we sort of changed our approach over the last few games, and we just haven't been able to sustain it for a longer period of time. We've had a lot of droughts, but if we can just get the ball to Cliff and Caden in those situations where we need a bucket, then he can go get it. But I'm happy for Cliff.
And I found a stat while I was getting ready this morning for the show about Cliff that I love. 6 of his last 9 games, he's been in double digits. 4 of the last 5 games, been in double digits. So this is a guy, when you look at him, he's been the leading scorer, the second leading scorer in the last 6 of the last 9, or for the last 5. He's been untouchable. He's been great.
You know, we'd love to, you know, we'd like to have him in the lineup, but, you know, playing both he and Caden, I mean, we're not the quickest team anyway.
Right.
But and with Eric, you know, these young men are still growing. You know, we have 4 freshmen and the only one that really doesn't get significant minutes is Emmanuel, but he'll probably start getting more minutes simply because, you know, Curtis Holland he has a turf toe, so he's struggled the last 3 games. But no, Cliff is really stepping up, and we've really been trying to get the ball to him. And what's bothered me is that we haven't looked to throw the ball in there enough. And I told Cliff, I said, maybe you should grab one of those guards by the collar, man, and jack him up. You know, you might have to take charge. Instead of me saying something, you make it known that you better get me the ball, or else.
So maybe an increased role in leadership from him.
Well, I think so. That's one of the areas that when I came here, you know, he hadn't played at all. Any significant minutes. He set out last year with that pin in his foot. Now he's healthy, so he's able to contribute. He's got a nice touch. He's a good free throw shooter. But again, he hasn't played a lot of minutes. So now we're coming off the bench with, he's really just when you think about it, he's a senior, but he really is a sophomore when you talk about playing time. And then you come off the bench with some of the other guys, so he's been a big boost.
And he really didn't start playing until like the 10th grade, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's another thing you don't think about. A guy who is still growing in his game more so than another person because he's only playing since he's been in the 10th grade. So just a great story. When you were talking about your trip to Fox, I thought about this. Another thing that you are very involved in is Coaches versus Cancer. I know that's coming up, so I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about that.
Speakers, I think it starts next week. And it's something that we've been a part of for the last, ever since I've been in the NABC. We started in 1980 when coach from Missouri at the time was fighting cancer. And then we had the Jim Valvano, you know, so all that has galvanized, and I've been on the board of Coaches versus Cancer board for years. And it's something we needed. It started out 3-point shots. You know, people were paying $1 or so for 3-point shots, and now it's evolved into. Over the years, we've had golf tournaments, playing golf tournaments we're playing about 3 or 4 golf tournaments. In fact, we're going to be with Subway, I think it's tomorrow. Or
TJ.
we got Subway, we're going to be at Subway with Coaches versus Cancer. They're
tomorrow?
one of my big sponsors.
Is it next week?
Next week.
Okay.
They're major sponsors, major supporters of Coaches versus Cancer.
And you'll be you'll be making some sandwiches right there, right?
Yes, I will. So show up and donate to Coaches versus Cancer help. Then we also have next week, Adidas is sponsoring. We're wearing these nice shoes that are developed, that were made to honor the Tuskegee Airmen. With Black History Month coming up, and I was fortunate enough to meet some of the living officers, pilots, from this was in 2010, 12, when I was coaching in Minnesota. So, and many of them have passed now, so only a few of them are still living. But they made this signature basketball shoe and a nice t-shirt for our players to wear that's honoring the Tuskegee Airmen.
So that's awesome. You're excited about that.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any questions for Coach Smith, you can raise your hand and we will.
Your brother played?
For PC.
Yeah, I know, man. They beat him. I need to talk to I can't believe that your brother was there. You didn't give him all the information, did you? You didn't give him a scouting report.
I gave him, well, you don't give me that. So, I gave him nothing.
I thought about that now that we're sitting here. I'm like, man.
So if you don't see me next month, you know what's happening.
Yeah, you know what happens. No, they're pretty talented. Presbyterian is a very talented, they've got a young man by the name of Corey Hightower who's very talented, 6'7", 6'8". Really gave us all kinds of problems. They have a young man that tied the record for the most threes in the school's history. He's a senior. But they started only 3 freshmen too, and a sophomore, not much like us, but
and they have a new coach.
They're doing a great job. He's doing a great job there. It's just like the same MO that happened at Radford. We're right in the ball game. In fact, we took the lead in the second half and went through. We're right there. We're in the game. We just can't seem to sustain it. We have these droughts where we're not really getting the complete work. And that same thing happened. The same MO happened at Presbyterian.
Well, let's talk about a positive. I heard you in the hallway talking about it. You guys are getting off to great starts. In the first half, you guys are playing well. Yeah. So let's talk about that. What are you seeing? How are you hoping you can take that with you this Thursday, UNC Asheville?
Well, I think Asheville is an up-tempo team. We've tried that. We want to play up-tempo. We started out the season being a very up-tempo team, 3-point shooting team, but when you're playing against the type of opponents that we had to play early on, you can lose your shot, you can lose your confidence, and now our defense has let us down the last few games. We haven't really defended. Teams have shot over 50%. Now, we did a good job. We out-rebounded Presbyterian. Now, we got out-rebounded by about 7-8 against Winthrop, but we out-rebounded Radford. We're still one of the top rebounding teams, top free throw shooting has suffered. But we just need to have the right lineup. When our upperclassmen are not producing, and John Michael Wright is not making shots, and then when Curtis is not available to us, he's been playing on that bad foot since the Texas game. So in fact, he didn't play at Texas because he messed his foot up before. So it's just been bothering me. He had X-ray, it's not broken, so hopefully he can overcome it. But we just need to, you asked about that, we just need to find the right combination at that time to get things turned around. By that I mean the right lineup.
And, how excited are you when you look at this, the way that the Big South is set up? It's like you play on a Thursday, you play on Saturday, then you play on a Monday, so it's a quick turnaround. Do you think that could be helpful to you guys to maybe get on a little hot streak here?
Well, I hope so. We've played the top 3 teams in the league so far, so we need to figure out how to get a win, how to stay positive. As I said before, to stay focused on the fundamentals, because we've had some real breakdowns fundamentally, and that's playing as a team. I think, I tell our players, players play the game, but teams win championships. And the best team doesn't always win. The team that plays the best. So we've got to figure out how we can play better and get better at that time. And I think we're on the right path. We had a good practice yesterday after having Monday off. So what's Monday? No, Sunday off. So we should be rested. Again, I think we're just this next few games are going to be important. Nashville, if we can get this win up there on the road, I think it would give us a lot of confidence.
And once again, if anybody has a question, we'll go to you as we wind down here. But to that point, Coach, what is the key to that game? I know you mentioned a few things, but what are you looking forward to? When you think about Thursday, what jumps in your mind?
Well, we've got to handle their pressure. They're a team that likes to trap. They've got a little three-quarter court trap and some full court pressure. We've been very good against pressure, though. When people extend their defense, we've been pretty good. So we've got to handle that, take care of the basketball, something we struggled with the other day, and we've struggled all year with taking care of the basketball. Again, I think I mentioned our defense, especially our transition defense and our transition offense. We didn't get a single point in transition the other day, and Presbyterian had 11 or 12. Same thing happened against Winthrop. I mean, you don't ever see us get a breakaway layup. We're not. So that tells me we're not doing what we're supposed to do defensively to force turnovers and get some easy baskets.
Coach, I have one more question for you here, but it's not a basketball question, okay? So we have track season in full swing here, and I see Coach Esposito in the house. Yeah. And I was looking at the record book. You were on the track team, and you hold the track record. Speak a little on that.
Oh, man. Well, we set this record, the shuttle hurdle relay. Now, you have to understand, it was, they eliminated that event that year. So I still claim a record up there. It was, it's shuttle hurdle relay. Is one guy runs a leg going down. I was a high hurdler. So I hurdle down. When I cross the line, the guy sprints back. Then the next guy hurdles down. It's pretty interesting. So you got these four guys going back and forth. It's a scary event because people are going past each other, especially if you're behind. It could be dangerous. Hurdle go, it was an interesting meet.
So I saw you on the record book. I just want to give you some credit there. I want to give you a little extra
What
credit.
can I say?
Well, Coach, thank you so much. Good luck on Thursday. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Keep believing, keep pulling for us. We're going to be okay. Thank you.
Coach Tubby Smith, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. It's been another Coach's Show presented by NorthState. And a big thanks to everybody here at Sweet Old Bills. Until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.